What is going on, YouTubenites? Welcome to Lords of the Roundtable, where you just get together on the Lords of the Long Box, bringing a special guest, and we just chit chat about comics and good stuff. Before we get right to it, boys and girls, let's kick off with the theme song.
Bust it. Shake and bake and pull it back.
Oh my God.
Somebody show us something. Hold on and get some, boys.
That is why they compete.
What's good, everybody? It's your man Tiva, welcome to Lords of the Long Box, and we got friend of the show, Ken Lashley, here to grace us with his presence. First of all, let's talk about some sponsors we got. We got our friends at KRSComics.com. Ken knows KRS Comics, and Chris.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, man. Go to KRSComics.com. Use discount code LOTLB to get 15% off any KRS Comics exclusives. They always dropping stuff. Ken hasn't done one in a while, but maybe we can get you to do one for them pretty soon, man.
We'll see.
Yeah. Also brought to you by the geekyswagshop.com. Go to geekyswagshop.com. Use discount code of LOTLB to get 15% off anything in the Geeky Swag Shop. And also, the show is sponsored by our friends at Rocket Comics. Go to Rocket Comics. They are still open. They are pressing comics and submitting to CGC. And they're also doing a private signing coming up with Clayton Crane and Frank Miller. Dude, that is pretty awesome. So get your Frank Miller signatures, man. Ken, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know, I'm in my tiny little studio because I have two daughters and they kick me out of the bigger rooms. So I'm in the smallest room in the house, but it's good. It's intimate. It's intimate.
You gotta do things to keep everybody sane, man. Like I told I've been working for 4 weeks, but my girlfriend has been going into the office, but she even so during the weekend though, I tell her, look, we still need to distance from ourselves because we're going to drive each other crazy if we don't. So I'm going to go upstairs. Sure. I'm going to watch some TV.
Yeah.
You watch your thing. We'll come down and spend a few hours together. We'll watch a movie together, but we can't be watching it. You know, when I was a kid, I remember, you remember this. We only had one TV and four TV stations, right?
Yeah, I was a remote control. I had to go and switch a TV because we didn't have any.
Me too. Control. I would stand there. Oh, man. That wasn't even right, man. And especially if we got to the UHF channels, right? So it was like you had to go through like the 20s. Forget about it.
Don't flick the switch. Don't flick the switch to the higher channels. Let's not do that.
Shout out to everybody who's watching on Facebook too. We're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So sorry if I don't get to you. Hey, shout out to Jeff Hernandez who's holding it down in the YouTube on Facebook. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. Discovery Bay Comics, JLS Comics.
That's cool.
Hold on. I got all kinds of audio coming at me now. I'm going crazy, man. I'm going crazy, Ken. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. Man Cave Comics, Chad Crow, JLS Comics holding it down, Discovery Bay Comics holding it down, Chad Crow, Gomez, the comic collector, Christopher Briggs. Wow. 32 of you. It's got like 30. It's get up to about 3,000 people, Ken, and then, we'll try to keep it. So, for those, Ken has offered, if you guys are jonesing to spend some of your stimulus money, Ken Lashley will do a sketch for you live on air, depending on how much you want to spend and what character. So leave a comment there. If it's somebody Ken likes, I would tell you this. Ken likes drawing shiny characters. That's all I'm going to say. So take that for what it will. So if there's anybody in the live chat, I already asked Ken to do Doctor Strange. He said no. So
I did say no. Yeah, that's right. I did say no. I was going to say, yeah, it's true. I did say no.
He did say no. He likes shiny characters, so go with that. Right, and as we've always talked to Ken before, he will work with whatever you want to do. So you can help out the comic community. If you want a $50 sketch, do a $50 sketch. If you want a $5,000 sketch, he'll get out the acrylic and do a whole gosh darn painting for you.
I'm looking around. I don't know if I have the acrylics out here.
Yeah,
but we'll work it out.
Let's talk about the biggest news of the day and your opinions on it, because I know you've been going there for, I don't know, how many years straight have you been going to San Diego Comic-Con now?
15 or 16, probably
15. So San Diego Comic, I mean, it hasn't really been a surprise to us who've been in California, but we've kind of been surprised that they haven't announced it yet. So if you haven't known, San Diego finally came out and officially announced for the first time in 50 years. San Diego Comic-Con has been canceled, and it won't be back till next summer. What are your thoughts on that, Ken? I meant, is it the right thing to do? I mean,
Well, I think logistically you couldn't possibly put it on, and you couldn't do it. The way the climate is in the world right now, you can't have that kind of gathering. And this is international. It's not just from California. Everyone from all over the world is going to be there. So, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm surprised they waited this long. To be honest with you, but they're figuring out logistics, and you think 100,000 tickets or 120,000 tickets that have to be refunded, or even could be refunded. Do you know what I mean? Imagine that if at $265 a ticket, you got 27 million you want to throw back, right? So you got to figure out what's best, right? So
my guess is next year is going to be crazy because I think a lot of people it's hard to get tickets, so they're not going to return. They're going to hey, roll it over to next year.
No, well,
Fatal J, hey, shout out to Fatal J, $5 super chat. Ken Lashley, so much respect. You're the king of commissions.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Right.
Well, here's what I was thinking. I posted a story. So is it going to be busier or less than the next year? Is it going to be crazier? And I'm thinking, 2 years between shows, I think it's going to be insane. I mean, I think it's going to be crazy. It's bad. It's crazy enough as it is. But I mean, here's my real thoughts are when all these other shows that were in the first part of the year, when January, February, and they started pushing them back and pushing them back for the summer. I had to make some decisions as to what show I was going to go to and not go to, and some of them I just said I can't. Right, so they all got pushed to September. So then you start going, well, now there's like 30 shows in 2 months, right? So you start thinking, well, the SuperCon got moved. I was a guest at SuperCon, and I was going to go to the one in Toronto, and now they're the same weekend. So like all these things that happened, like you can't pile up. And I respect San Diego for not saying, oh, we're going to just push it back till this. They just said, okay, we're going to cancel it, and let's go next year.
ECC, right? ECC pushed theirs all the way back to the end of this year or summer of this year.
Yeah, I think it's but to me it's like that's kind of okay. So what about those shows that are happening around that time? Like there's all these shows that are like now they're all bunched together. It's like it's just now you're every weekend, and I feel bad because some shows you said yes to now when they move it the date you can't. But I mean the thing about San Diego is, if you've been there before, you're not giving up your ticket. Like you're just not. Like people say, I want a refund. They're like, nah, you're not getting a refund.
No, I don't think so. Yeah,
because you won the lottery to get one in the first place. So I think it's going to be business as usual next year. I think it's going to be crazier next year. But then again, I wonder. I mean, from what I hear from some healthcare professional people that I kind of in the circle what they're saying, this not going to be resolved until 2021. I mean, so who knows what's going to happen in the next 6 to 7 months as to how
it takes a good 12 to 18 months for a vaccine to come out because they still have to go through trials and everything. There's a lot of things that I work in healthcare. I run 5 hospitals. I run the IT side of radiology. So I work with a lot of doctors and nurses and, all of our elective stuff and everything, all projects put aside, everything is specifically on COVID-19. And that's what we call it because it's coronavirus is too vague of a term because this is not the first. I mean, this is COVID-19 literally means coronavirus of 2019, not like Kellyanne Conway said, where this is the 19th iteration of it.
I've heard some crazy stories.
Sorry, Ken, we're both North Americans. You're Canadians. We're like, sorry, man. So
I've heard some crazy things and conspiracy theories, and I'm going, I don't know what's real. What's not real, but
I almost had an all Canadian show today. I was gonna get you and my boy. I don't know if you know Word Burglar. If you ever heard of him,
I've heard.
He's a Canadian rapper from Canada who raps like a lot of geek stuff. He talks like comics and stuff.
That's cool. That's cool.
I'm gonna get an all Canadian show. I'm gonna get Ken on it, and I was like, man, he can't. He wasn't able to make it. But next time, man, we're gonna get both you cats. He's in Toronto now too, by the way. So that's actually wicked. Originally from Nova Scotia, but he moved to Toronto for his his rap
Nova Scotia is a great part of the country. It's pretty amazing.
So I was because I was thinking, man, wait. So were you scheduled for either ECC or for what was the other one that was canceled? Well, a lot of them actually. I mean, if you think about it.
Well, I wasn't going to ECC. I wasn't going to ECC. I was going to take a year because I'm taking over Spawn. So it's crazy. So there's a lot of stuff I got to do, right? So I was kind of cutting back on my schedule. I was going to only do about 10 or 12 this year. A couple locals to New York City, San Diego as always. I said notice to East Coast, but I was going to SuperCon. I'm going to another one in Portland State, summer. I mean, there's a lot of different things. I'd space it out like maybe 1 or 2 a month. And now it's sort of like they're all jam-packed. So it's
do you think New York City is still going to go on? I mean, it's
I don't know. Right? I talked to them, because they're the same people who do SuperCon. So, okay, who knows, right? Like you wish for the best, but I can't foresee that being a show that they'd be able on to. Plus, I went to New York last year. No joke. I don't get sick. I never get sick. I mean, I'm one of those people. My family thinks it's hilarious. Everyone in my family would be sick, and I'd be like, "What's up?" You know. And I went to New York last year, and I came back, and I got a cold or something happened, and I was so sick that I had to go to antibiotics. Like I never get sick, and I got something from that show, and I'm thinking to myself, when I was talking about that last year, imagine what it's going to be like. Could be this year.
So New York City Comic Con is what, October?
October, yeah. First
so that could have been very early COVID-19. I mean, because the first reported cases were December because of 2019. Yeah.
Well, I felt terrible.
Yeah, because all the Javits Center has been used for hospital beds and stuff. And who wants to go there knowing that, you know what I'm saying? You can say, oh, we've quarantined, we cleaned, disinfected, but I don't know, man. There's just...
They can tell me any story you want to tell me. I might think, no, I'm going to stay in Canada. You know what I mean? It is what it is, right? Like, I mean, you wish them all the best, and it's been tough, and you're watching all these stories. And also from our perspective, like watching it from Canada, watching what's going on in New York City, and it's like, it's horrific what's happening there. And, you know, and I have a lot of friends there and people there, and I see people in the healthcare field. And I've always reached out to them and said, how are you doing? You know, I have people who are a good friend of mine. One of the guys on my fan page lives in Italy. He's a doctor in Italy, and he's told me some stuff, and it's just, you know, every day I think about that guy. I send him a message every couple of days, see how you're doing, you know, because he's one of those. He's working in a hospital that is part of the treatment for that, so he has to go to work, and he has to be in that, and he has a wife, and he has, even think about this, like when he leaves work, he can't go home because he has to quarantine because he's in the ward. Yeah. So it's like this whole things of, you know, think about, oh, he gets to go home at another shift. No, he can't because he has a wife. So he goes someplace else. He was renting an Airbnb. It was just this crazy, like, things that we don't know. And a lot of people were making comments about how, oh, it's not this, it's the flu. And he went on my wall and said, let me straighten you out a little bit, right?
Let me just clear that misconception here. And I talk to doctors and nurses probably on a daily basis because I'm still on conference calls. So here is the major difference between the flu and COVID-19 or any one of the coronavirus, specifically COVID-19. You can be asymptomatic. I have never heard of anybody who had an asymptomatic flu. You feel the flu. The major difference of COVID-19 is you can have it and not know you have it. That's the major difference. Just stop it right there and say, no, it's no longer the flu. Because if you ever had somebody, you know what, I had the flu, but you know, I was great. No, you feel like,
that's legit.
So, you know, so it's interesting. I was seeing a doctor was talking about, and we will get away from this, guys. We're not trying to bum you guys down. There's a doctor who comes home. He gets in his garage. He takes off all his clothes, throws them in the washer, goes into the shower, and then comes out and greets his family. That's his routine every day, and that's what
happen, right?
It's important. I mean, it seems. How's Canada doing? Is Canada, what is it, full? Is there a specific date on it, or what's going on in Canada?
No, we're depending on what part of the country you're in. I mean, Montreal's been hit. Montreal's like New York. It's been hit pretty hard. There's a lot of cases in Montreal. Lots in Ontario, where not where I'm at, but in Toronto. I'm sort of 45 minutes outside of Toronto, so there's only the hospital that my kids were born actually around the corner is now going to be the center for whoever gets to this area. That's where they're going. So I think there's only 2 cases in this area. So it's you know, it hasn't hit us like it's hit other places. I mean, when you go 20 minutes either way, there might be some cases, but not exactly where I'm at right now. So I'm just watching it from afar. I mean, I probably spend too much time watching the news every night, watching about it, and watching what's going on everywhere, and watching New York, watching Montreal. You know, Vancouver.
Here's the ironic thing is, was it safe to say most comic book artists kind of social distance already? I mean, you guys kind of work from home or whatnot. Oh, I think I lost Ken. Oh, there you're back. We were just talking about how people's home internet connections aren't made for this. Are you okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Oh no, see, Ken, you jinxed yourself.
Well,
we were just talking about it before you went on.
I work out of this stuff, so
yeah, we were just talking. You were cut off for about a good 10 seconds.
Yeah, I did jinx it.
Yeah, Fatal J gave another $2 super chat and says, "Ken, your Batwing run was monster."
I appreciate that. Those were some crazy fun covers to work on. I was like, I'm gonna keep all of these. I'm gonna keep these, right? So every time you get a job and you kind of go, oh, this is gonna be fun to work on. That's what Batwing was like. That it was sick. It was so much fun to work on.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I think we've just asked this ad nauseum for newer viewers, probably people who are new to you. What are some of your favorite books to draw the actual stories of internal pages, and what were your favorite covers where you just, you know what, I am going to go off on this, either a variant or regular cover?
My first love in comics was the X-Men. That was my first love.
Yeah.
And the first book I ever really picked up was X-Men, like 132, 133, and I was like, what is this, man? And I was just taken by the artwork. I was a young kid at the time. I think it was grade 6, grade 5. And I was like, what is this? And I was just taken by it, and I just started collecting as much X-Men as.
So that was John Byrne's pencils.
John Byrne was, and it was like, wow, Terracid inks, it was just crazy. And I just became a fan of comic books. I was always a fan of comic books, but I wasn't really collecting any one series. I collect art. If I would go through a rack and something I liked, I would buy it. I wasn't a real collector because I couldn't get to a comic book store. I got mine from a rack at the Becker's around the corner, which is like a variety store.
The old newsstand copies.
Yeah,
man.
I'll just grab whatever I could grab, and that was my collection. I had creases in them because they were bent over, and it was like crazy. But I mean, that's how you got comics. But I tell you, then I just started love the X-Men, and that was my first love, and Colossus and all that stuff. And then from there, I stopped collecting
hint. I was telling you he likes drawing shiny things. There you go. Hint. There
you go. And then I left that completely, and I went and I was like doing fashion illustrations when I was in school. Then I went to Ontario College of Art, which is big art school, and there was a comic book store called Silver Snail around the corner from the school, and I went in there a few times and was like, oh, this is my first love. I should start drawing this stuff again. A lot of people were sort of like, nah, man, comic books is not really a big thing, right? So I just loved it, and that was it. I was sort of bitten by it, and I was on it. But so X-Men was my first, and then after that, everything outside of comic books, it was like Gotcha Man, Star Wars, robots, giant robots.
For those who don't know, Gotcha Man is the real name of Battle of the Planets, G-Force. There you go.
And those are the things that I loved. So, and there was a couple years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I was designing the new G-Force cartoon. I was working on X-Men Gold, and I was working for Lucasfilm. I was working on all 3 of the greatest things that I loved as a kid. It was a crazy couple years, right? So
let's fast forward to exactly what you're working on right now. And I teased it on our last show when I said that you were going to come on, and it's been a minute, but you were going to be taking over Spawn.
I'm starting at issue, I think it's 309 or 308. I'm not exactly how.
I think 309 is what you told me last year.
Yeah, 309 is, but there might be some changes there. I'm not 100% sure. But that's one thing I'm working on. It's fun. It's some of the first job I've had in the comic business where it was just sort of like draw cool stuff. When you talk to Todd
because you have Todd McFarlane is a visual artist guy, artist background. He's not a writer, so absolutely. Is Todd as creepy and No, I'm just kidding. No, because I'm going to tell you why, man. When I used to watch, I bought Spawn #1 at a liquor store, coming home, buying a pack of cigarettes when it first came out, right? So I was like, and then I remember I was hooked on Spawn back then. I was buying everything Image that came out. So when Spawn the animated series came out at midnight, and Todd McFarlane used to come on and really he used to creep the shit out of me because it was I was like, he was trying to be scary. You remember his little introductions he would do? Yeah,
I was telling you said that. That's hilarious.
I remember last time we talked. It was right after Dan DiDio left DC, and we'll talk about that in a bit, guys and girls. Sure. But I want to talk about the conversation you had, Todd, about capes.
Well, it was.
So we all know Spawn is a free-flowing cape, and I asked, hey, how would you approach it? Did you talk to Todd about it? What did he say?
We had a 45-minute conversation about capes.
That's awesome.
I'm dead serious, and it was like pretty amazing. And I learned, well, it's like capes are, how everyone draws capes a certain way, and I did my version of what, because when you get a book like Spawn, the first thing you do, you Google and look it up, what other guys have done, and you just look around, and everyone does it differently. Everyone completely different. So I just said, well, instead of me looking at somebody else doing it, let's go back to the guy who created it. So I looked at his work, and he had a certain way of doing it. So we talked about it, and I asked him about it, and we did a screen sharing thing where we were actually talking to each other and showing, he was showing me I was done, and it was pretty. It was pretty. Once I had that whole conversation, it was pretty amazing, and it was. I learned so much about how Spawn's cape works, and you can see where some people did it and some people didn't quite understand it. And now that I've understood it, it's so much easier to draw. But it's like I can't even. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to ruin the magic. But it's pretty amazing how he's built this whole mythos behind the cape and how it really works. And it's so much easier to draw once you figure that out. So
well, here's what I say, Ken. After you've done your run of Spawn, and then you got your fill with capes, and you need to come over and do some Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange has a cloak of levitation. That's all I'm saying. I think you getting that Spawn cape experience, you get Doctor Strange. I would say I think you would do dope on Doctor Strange, man. Doctor Strange, he's got a free flowing, and it's a cloak. It's not a cape. So. We just touched on it a little bit. So the reason I wanted to bring up the deal is because part of the conversation we had was you're meeting him and why you had to turn something down because you were doing Spawn. So I don't want to give too much of the story away, and I'll let you tell as much of the deal story as you can.
Well, I mean, no, that's okay. So let's back up a little bit. I just left Marvel because I was doing Spider-Man. And I just sort of wanted to book of my own because that book was sort of like a shared book between me and some of the other people I'd done. And I just really wanted a book of my own. And Marvel was kind of like, well, they didn't know where to slot me. They wanted me to come in and do some stuff, but they weren't prepared, I guess, to give me my own thing, whatever. So I had an opportunity to talk to Todd. Todd has asked me to do some other work, and it would be kind of cool. And then I said, I was in LA for something else. And I was saying, I was talking for Adobe. I was speaking at the Adobe conference, Adobe Max conference, and I was one of the speakers there. And I was doing a live demo of the new software. Me and Laura Martin. I've done Adobe Max maybe 2 or 3 times. And so this is really cool. So me and Laura Martin, I was doing a drawing and she would do a color job. And so we split the hour and a half. It was really cool. And we talked about how our process, and fans loved it. It was like you get to talk to the penciler and you get to talk to a colorist. So it's really cool. So I was in LA for that. And then all of a sudden, let's go by DC. I've never been to DC's head office.
Burbank.
With Burbank, and it was not that far from where I was. So I went and I sat in Dan's office. Dan's a cool monster guy. He's got monsters.
And this was October of 2000.
October, just October passed.
Yeah, okay, October.
So we were just talking, and and then behind me was very interesting. There was like a giant slate of all the books of what they were gonna do, and I never looked at I never looked at it because. I haven't signed anything. I'm not, when I go to those kinds of places, I don't really like to, look around and do that kind of stuff because that's their stuff. And so he asked me if I'd be interested in doing one of the books. So I was sure, it'd be really kind of cool. There's a few things that he, thought I would fit at, thought I would slide in and do. One in particular, he thought I would be perfect for. It would have been pretty amazing, I think people would maybe have been a little bit shocked at what I was slated to do.
Are you able to tell us who that character is?
Well, I mean, it's one of the Holy Trinity, one of the Holy Three, right? So it was one of the. That's why I was a little like, oh, that'd be really cool, right?
So boys and girls, Dan DiDio, while he was still at DC back in October of 2019, offered Ken Lashley part Superman, Wonder Woman, or Batman as part of the new 5G lineup. Is that correct?
Well, that's okay. That's what he would like to do, right? Or thought that I would fit well there. Doesn't mean that's what was ever going to be on my desk. It was sort of like, I could see you doing this character, and I think that would be perfect for you. That makes sense?
Does this character have a cape?
Yes.
So that narrows it down from 2 of the 3. So
you can work it out. Well, I'm not doing it anyway, so it really doesn't. It doesn't really. So I'm not slated a Superman. I think.
All right, so there you go, boys and girls. So, Ken Lashley, Dan DiDio said, Ken, I think you would be great to do the new Superman 5G book.
Yeah,
and
I was like,
what happened?
Let's do this. And it just sort of, I came back and I thought about it'd be great. It was a great opportunity. But you start thinking, it's like, okay, that happens all the time. You talk to people all the time and things happen like that. Like, people,
let's do lunch, right?
Yeah, let's talk about this and let's do this.
Let's come on the Lord show. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it would be a great opportunity to do it. I mean, it would have been fun to do it, but it just things changed, right? Like, and I'm a big boy, so we started talking and then things just I got an opportunity to do something else and I could sense that there was something going on there. I wasn't quite sure what it was, but in the end, it went the way it went. But I had to make some decisions, right? And I was what I was wanting to do. And Todd reached out to me and said, I'd love for you to take over Spawn. And that was never a conversation we had. It was sort of like, oh, I'd like you to do some toy stuff because he was doing the DC license. And
have you ever done any of McFarlane's art?
No, I haven't. Right. And I think
okay.
that's why they approached me in the first place, is because I was doing so much stuff with Hasbro, and I do the packaging art. I did G.I. Joe and X-Men, and I've done a lot of packaging art for them. And over the year, probably 15 years worth of work over there. It's been some crazy things. I got G.I. Joe with my face on it at some point.
Well, interesting enough, I have a question from JLS Comics right there. Okay. He'd like to know about your G.I. Joe box art gig, how he got it and whatnot. But I'll let you finish this story first.
Yeah, so that's how I first, met. I think that's when they first approached me. That's kind of what they thought my work was. They were using toy work with me, which is crazy cool. And then that sort of transformed into, what about doing the main? What about doing the comic book? And I never really thought about it because I was probably going to go to do the DC work. That was what I was slated to do. I was probably my heart was probably leaning towards that. But the more you talk to Todd.
Yeah. What I want you to touch on, if you can, because I don't know if a lot of people know this, because the last time we spoke, you were going to be doing the Milestone stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so because for those who don't, I'll let you explain it, but how did you find out that your Milestone project was no longer going forward?
I didn't really find out. I just, listen, man, I'm old, right? So what happens is that when I've been doing this a long time, and nobody ever reached out to me and said, oh, we're not doing Milestone. I just, they had an editorial change, and my editor that was in charge of the Milestone was no longer in charge of Milestone. Somebody else was supposed to take it over. I never heard back of who was taking it over, and I went, and
I got stuff I got to do.
And I didn't call them. I didn't quit. I didn't say anything.
Is it still coming out?
I don't know.
Still coming out?
I don't know. I took the pages from one side of my desk, moved it to the other side of the desk, and put Spider-Man on there, and because I got a chance to work on Spider-Man, and that was it. I would just, and then I reached out to Dan actually, and I told him, I said, no hard feelings, but you're gonna see my name attached to Spider-Man, and he was like, oh, he was kind of like, yeah, I get it, right, and that's kind of what happened. There was never ever a formal sort of like, oh, I'm quitting. I just kind of said, I just got things I like to do, so. And I just went about my business,
And this isn't very topical at all, since it happened so long ago. It seems like it happened so long ago. But Dan DiDio quitting or asked to leave, and the whole. What are your thoughts? I know you weren't part of DC proper, but you're in, I guess, the industry. What are your thoughts, and what do you think the industry's thoughts on that departure and why it was, and was it because of the 5G stuff?
Well, it's hard to say what exactly it is, but I think it's more on the line. Who knows exactly what was the impetus for that to happen? But I will say that you have to sort of look at the writing on the wall, as opposed to, his vision didn't line up with somebody else's vision in that company. That's just what happens, So, and I think there may have been a push, and he got pushed out, right? So, and I think that there comes a point in everyone's career where that happens to them. I don't care who you are. But one thing I was taken aback from was some of the toxic comments that were made after he left, and some of the people that were saying things, big time professionals. And I thought, it's you have to be more gracious than that. You can't be that kind of person. You just can't, right? So, and Dan has always been kind to me. He's always been called me. He's the only editor that I've ever, or person of management that's ever called me on Christmas to wish me Merry Christmas.
Nice.
And there's a lot of people, I've worked with a lot of people, but he's the only one who's ever done that. So you can say what you want, and I was kind of like, hello, well, Merry Christmas to you too. Like, it was one of those, it was a moment, right? And treating you like a human being, that doesn't happen very often. Jim Chadwick does that. A few editors I've worked with do that, but there's a handful of editors that treat you like human beings, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jim Lee calls you all the time to wish you Merry Christmas too, right?
We were different. Jim Lee had a different relationship. We're just like two. He's Jim Lee, for crying out loud, right? It's always cool when I talk to him, right? So on his thing that he's doing now with the comic stores.
Who draws a better Colossus, Jim Lee or Ken Lashley? Ken
Come
Lashley.
on
That's why
now.
I already knew the answer.
Don't,
dog.
don't
That's
even,
what I
don't
was-
even, don't even. I can't even get into that right now. Right? I
All
just
right,
think
hey,
it's fun. It's just fun. That's
let's
hilarious.
get to your. For
That's
those who don't
troubling.
know, Ken does a lot of art that's you see all over the place on toys, on the sides of boxes. Tell us, JLS Comics wants to know about the
Sure.
GI Joe box art gig,
Okay.
how you got it, and whatnot.
Okay. All right. So the GI Joe box. I'm working with GI Joe for a long time because I did the Valor versus Venom. I did all that, the designs, and I did box art for that. And then you just move to different brands. I've done Star Wars Unleashed. I've done Tonka Joe, Transformer board games. I've done a lot of stuff over the 15, 20 years I've been working there. It's a long time. And so you just evolve. And what happens is you meet one art director. We did really good work for him. And as he moved up the chain, he moved up. He said, "Hey, come with me," right? So you end up doing more cooler projects, and bigger. And people know what your loves are, and they know you like superheroes. And the person in charge of the Marvel line is like, he was the assistant to my guy, so it's like now he's in charge, and Dwight is killing it, and so he's like, "Oh, Ken, I remember, you helped me. So you want to do this?" I said, "It's just synergy, right? That's how it works."
Yeah.
But I'm also like a big hardcore fan of X-Men, so it's like also I have a track record of drawing pretty decently, so of course that's the next thing. But you can't do that many projects or that many brands, so you have to sort of pick and choose your brand. So you can't do like I do G.I. Joe for 2 years, and then you do Star Wars for a while, and then you do.
I want to pull back the veil.
Whoa! Before we leave this topic, I want to tell you a crazy story. So I'm working on at the time I was working on.
Is this the Infinity War stuff?
Did I tell you that story?
You told me that one. That's the one I was going to talk about. But
okay,
this
go ahead. No, go ahead. Tell me that one. Well, go ahead.
So Ken told me this story about. I want to unleash pull back the curtain, if you will, on artists that work on things, and you just accidentally get spoiled by just being in Hasbro or being somewhere.
It's not. There's nothing accidental about what they do. It's nothing accidental. Because they fly me in and I'm cool. I'm hanging out with them, and they say, "Oh, we want you to be physically in the office." And that's kind of
so wait, where is this at? This is at Hasbro.
This is Rhode Island. This is Rhode Island. So I'm working in my studio. I'm in here, and they're like, "Oh, we want you to come into Hasbro in Rhode Island." I'm thinking, "Well, just tell me what do you need, bro? What do you need?" Because no, you have to physically be in the building. So okay, so they flew me in. We hung out. I'm there with a couple of people. There's like 4 or 5 of us in this room. I'm in on the VP's office. He's got like a boardroom table, so you could draw on his table and draw there. And I had all my stuff out. And I was like, "Okay, so what's happening, bro? Like, what's going on?" And he has a slide projector with his TV in his office. He clicks a button and he says, "These are the characters that die in Infinity War."
Oh, and you didn't want to know, right? I mean, you wanted to see the movie like everybody else, right?
I'm like, what? And I'm looking at him. He's like, "Yeah, and these are the characters that stay dead."
Wow.
What kind of person are you, bro? And we laugh, but to them, it's Tuesday, right? Like to them, it's just a Tuesday. Like they're just making toys, and they have to know that stuff ahead of time. But for me, I'm an outsider, so I'm like, what kind of person are you? But then again, I should have known. Because last time I was hanging up there, I was there for a meeting. I won't tell you for what. And then we went out for dinner, and he said Force Awakens was about to come out, and they have a Star Wars room, and I'm like, I'm not going in there because I don't want to see anything. He's like, "Come on, man," and I do not want to go in there. The movies will be ruined for me. Don't tell me anything. So after 3 days of that, you get worn down. So I'm sitting having dinner with him, and he's like, "You want to know one thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, tell me one thing." He said, Han Solo dies.
Ah.
I said, dude, you could have told me anything, right? You don't have. Oh, it was so bad. So I called my wife. I said, "Hey,
did you tell her?
How's it going?" I said, Han Solo dies in the next movie, and I hang up the phone. And she calls me back. What's wrong with you? I go, "Hey, marriage is about sharing, isn't it? Come on now."
And that is his ex-wife now. No, I'm just kidding.
No, she's good, man. I'm gonna get checked.
How you gonna call somebody up and say, yeah, Han Solo's dying. I'll get milk on the way home." Bye. What?
That's right.
No.
I was in another country. I told you that, right? I was there, right? So
yeah,
it was all good.
So just peel the curtain back on what a lot of these artists know. I'm not saying Ken gives me any scoops, because believe me, the last time he told me about that Infinity War thing, we tried to pull it out of him. He wouldn't tell us. He would not tell us.
I signed a contract this thick to get in that building that day. What are you kidding me? I can't do that.
You know what the funny thing is about Star Wars? I mean, Marvel, I can get leaks from Marvel, right? But Star Wars is incredibly tight-lipped.
You want to hear something cool? When I was working on Revenge of the Sith, I did some work. I did some work, and they had me do some of the licensing stuff. And then there was an image that I had done. And you've seen it. People have seen it, like Darth Vader with the hand out, and he's holding onto his cape. It's been on so many different products.
Yeah.
Probably like 700, 800 products worldwide. It's crazy. So I had done the illustration, and okay, check this out. They said, we're going to send you an image, right? So I go, okay. I said, these are the instructions. So you go, what instructions? So this is it. So when they send me the file, I have a certain amount of time to download the file to my computer. Then I have to delete the link. Then I have to get the file, burn it to a drive, get it off my machines. And I had a certain amount of time to do that.
Good Lord, that's literally some Mission Impossible shit.
That's
this message will self-destruct.
Look,
Yeah.
Hey, I'm telling you, I was like, okay, all right. So if you were not computer savvy, they know. Also, they watermark all your stuff, so they know where the leak is, right? So they figure out where. Oh, you're the guy giving the leaks, right? So yeah, like that's no joke. Like when you work for Lucasfilm and you're not in the building and you have to go outside of the building to get the artwork done, these are the things you have to go by. So I had every time I did the artwork, I had to use a computer that had no internet access for me to look at the images on it. And it was and I can tell you what it is now because the movie's out, but it was General Grievous and all his 3D model that was in all the environments that he was in the movie, and all how he's lighted and all that stuff. So it was like a rotation of ILM of him, but all the planets. But of course, you don't know what planet. I go, oh, what's this? What's this fiery planet? Oh, what's this? And, and as an artist,
Mustafar, you didn't know it was Mustafar. Nobody.
What's Mustafar? What is this? And it was pretty amazing. So. That's
are you doing anything in the upcoming Star Wars or Disney Plus stuff for Star Wars? Anything in it?
What?
Any Star Wars thing on the roadmap? Oh man, come on now!
I can't hear a word.
Okay, so Lucasfilm is now hacking our stuff. Oh, okay.
Your mouth.
All right, well let's get to some stuff. Yeah. All right. So you were telling me you're doing some stuff for Blizzard. Can you talk about that? Yep. Is it a new game? Is it an existing franchise?
No, I'm doing some stuff right now for Hearthstone. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to say anything else. I'll leave it at that. I just got an email literally 2 seconds ago while we're talking. That's why I looked over and I heard a beep and I was looking over. So
have you done video game stuff before? I mean,
yeah, I've done some video game stuff. I worked at a video game company in Toronto. I've done some stuff. Yeah, I've done a little bit, not a lot. I mean, more.
So typically, if I am Blizzard and I call up Ken Lashley, what would I have Ken Lashley do? Storyboards or art for the packaging, the marketing promo stuff?
It really depends. Depends what department calls me. Some guys want me to do stuff for marketing stuff. Some people want me to do some of the card stuff. Some stuff concept work, design inside. It really depends on what division. I do a lot of fun stuff, right? So. For me, it's sort of like you tell me what you want, and we'll see if I can do it, right? So I've been very fortunate to be able to do some really cool stuff, right? So
now, do you think that's due to your background because you went to school for certain? What type of art did you go to school for? Because you said you went to school.
I went to illustration, and I dropped out after the second year because my teacher said, "Go get a job, kid. Just go." So
because you're too good.
Well, I don't know.
You could draw hands and feet. Get out of here. Come on, low.
Yeah, you're going to have to figure out, right? So, yeah, I was just one of those guys. And I just went out there and started working. And I was very fortunate. And I landed a few gigs. And I think my first job was working on Marvel and the X-Men line. So that was it. And I was gone after that. You're good to go, right? So.
Yeah. Shout out to Tony Sanders for the $2 super chat, $10 super chat. Awesome interview, even though he hasn't given us any insider information that we can go run to the hills with yet. But, we're going to try to get the longer we keep him on here, the more tired he'll get and he'll leak something out. I'm just saying. So what I was kind of really excited for was what you were talking about that you're doing for Marvel video games. And maybe you can talk to that. Yeah. Can you talk about which game it's for, and is it they're actually console games or PC games or one of those I guess the mobile games?
I can't say, but
you said
all I'm saying I'm doing a cutscene. All I'm saying I'm doing a cutscene. I can't say anything more than that. But it's mad cool. Yeah, you can guess.
Is it for a mobile game?
You can guess.
Process of elimination. Oh, I see how you're gonna do this.
You could guess.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't
it's
necessarily
mad
mean you're
cool.
gonna acknowledge.
Let's just say it's something that I'm known for. That's why they contacted me. I'll
Oh,
leave
so
it
you're
at
gonna
that.
draw Silver Surfer fighting Colossus. Simple.
Not that it's something that I like, something I'm known for. Come on, bro.
Hey, did you get a chance to see the Bloodshot movie that they were showing it at home and everything?
No.
No, okay, it's not bad. I mean, for watching it at home, surprisingly. I mean, what I thought of it was like, wow, it only cost this much to make. I thought they really did a
Yeah.
really good job with the special effects for
cool.
what it was. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
basically it's basically Dom from Fast and the Furious being Bloodshot. It's just what it is. It's all about family. I don't have friends. I got family. Stuff
Yeah,
like
I
that.
got you. Yeah, it was cool. I
Um,
mean, it was fun. It was fun to draw. That book was fun. I mean, I was weird spot for me because they asked me to do the book, and then I did a little bit of it, and then I got a chance to draw Spider-Man. So I had to make some choices, but it was fun to work on it. Bloodshot's a very interesting book. Like some of the mythos of it is crazy and fun, and a lot of gore, and nothing
You know
is
who
too
did?
gory.
I just read it recently, and I think it came out a few years ago. But Brett Booth's run on
Yeah, it was
Bloodshot,
sick. It was sick.
yo, the art on there is crazy.
Yeah,
It
he came after me. I thought he was perfect for it. Like I was,
yeah,
I
very
was
very
perfect.
90s image
Yeah.
style, but more like
Perfect.
refined for now. I
Perfect.
thought it was really cool.
I was perfect to leave that book, and he was perfect to come on that book. That's what I'm saying. It's like perfect guy for that book. I was not into it really. I mean, I did some pages, but my heart was somewhere else, and and you can't do a book with your heart somewhere else, right?
So let me ask you this: you're going to be working on Spawn full time as
Yep.
the full time penciler. Todd's going to be sending you the screenplays and everything. Will you be working on when you're on when your name is on the book as the penciler? Do you work on anything else? When somebody tells you, say, "Hey, we need a variant for this or that," or are you strictly I'm just doing Spawn and that's it?
I guess I did an X-Men cover last week, so I guess it's sort of like
Which one? When is that coming out?
Who knows, right? Who knows when?
I know, right? Did they tell you what number it's for? What issue number?
No, I know. I usually don't ask those questions. I don't. They ask me with the imagery, and it kind of goes from there because things change.
Let's talk about that because I think a lot of just casual fans or collectors don't know the process. So
Sure.
Marvel comes to you, hey,
Sure.
we need you to do a variant for X-Men 25.
Sure.
And then you say sure, and then what happens at that point? How does the imagery come to? How does that come to fruition?
They'll say something like, "Oh, a cool, we were doing this. Let me give you some reference." Most time it's not reference. Most time it's like, "Oh, a cool shot of Wolverine fighting Omega Red. This is the costume Omega Red's going to be wearing." And then you probably never get to see. I very rarely get to see a script. Probably 2 times in my career, I get to see a script, and most of the time, you don't even know what's happening in the book. So most of the time, you're just drawing a cool shot, and hopefully, it
like
makes
Deja
sense.
Thor's. I asked you what's Deja.
Yeah,
She said, I have no idea what that book's about.
Yeah, well, that's what happens, right? Like, because you don't have time to. Sometimes things are fluid and they change, right? So you don't have time to go and figure it out.
So let me ask you this: I asked you for a variant. You draw. You just give them updates as you go, or do they? What's the final approval process from the editor or Marvel, or you just give it and they run with it?
Yeah, I do 2 maybe 3 roughs, and they pick one, and then I'll draw. Like, okay, typical example, that X-Men cover, I got the idea on Wednesday. They got the phone call. An hour later, I had all the roughs in. So like, this is what I was going to do. And then they said on the Thursday, that was a Wednesday. So Thursday, they talked about it. Thursday night, they said, okay, let's do this. I was done by Saturday morning. So, and then I send it back, and that was it. Like
do you get to pick your person who's gonna do the inks, or do you just do the pencils and inks?
I pencil and ink it. So
okay.
As far as
what about the colors?
Depends. I mean, if we have time, I usually pick Juan. Juan's a good guy. I like to use Juan on a lot of my stuff. He inked my Spawn covers. But it's usually we don't have time for them to figure it out. Like they have a guy usually in place, and they just a colorist in place, and they just say, "Oh, thanks for the image. Let's go." It's not as glamorous as people think it is. It's more like, we need this done. Can you get this done by this day? I get it done usually a day or 2 early, and then they go and color. I usually don't even ask for. Usually they want to send it back to me for approvals, like to look at it. And I go, whatever, man. Like I'm not the guy to worry about. Oh, this orange is not the right orange, or this blue is wrong. Or, I'm not that guy. I don't worry about it. Like we're all professionals here. So if somebody sends me something, then if I do my thing, like I wouldn't want somebody to say, "Oh, Ken, I think that left hand is a little off." I mean, I'd be like, "What, dude?" I mean,
So
like,
let me
come
ask you
on
this.
now.
Has
Come
there
on now.
ever been Marvel or DC or even an independent come to you and say, Ken, we want you to do a variant for this? And you were like, I can't believe this. I am going to spend extra time because I really, is there one in ones that you've done historically that you were like, I'm proud of this one because I really dig this character and the way I drew it? And if there's one that sticks out, maybe 2, 3?
I've got the first X-Men cover. I was working at DC, and I did a gatefold three cover. It was like 4 pieces. It was an amazing cover. All the X-Men line. That
Like Jim Lee's X-Men 1, basically. Right?
Yeah, it was one of those things where you buy all the books, they put them all together, it makes one image. That was one of my favorites. It was the Apocalypse War. That was one of my favorites. And then a Doomsday Superman Doom #1, for them the close-up face. That's one of my favorites as well. And Superboy, I did a Superboy cover where he's like all dark and the super blood drip. It was one of my favorite ones too. But I mean, I've done a lot of, and Black Panther, female Black Panther. That was another cover that I really enjoyed. But you get a chance. It's like a passage of time. Every cover you do is sort of like a passage of time, and you remember what you were going through at that time, or So sometimes I see things and I go, "Oh, I wish I could do that one over again," because that was.
Yeah,
that
I was just gonna say that. Let's flip
garbage.
the script and say, is there one you look back and you're just like,
God.
oh man, I can't
all
believe that.
kinds. I can spend days telling you about, oh, look at that cover. That cover got away. But you're gonna be like, it's one of those things. You just can't worry about it. You can't. You're under restrictions of time. So I mean, like I try to tell people all the time, no piece of artwork is finished. It's just abandoned. Like you just gotta abandon it. You gotta okay, it's time to move on, right? And you do the best you got with the strengths that you have. So tough.
let me ask you this: since you're best friends with Todd McFarlane now, and you're going to be doing his book, you guys talking about capes.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about the Spawn film?
Nothing.
How far along is it?
Listen, man. I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is cool.
Let me ask you this though. I think the Kickstarter or GoFundMe that Todd just started, I think that's a brilliant idea. Brilliant idea.
Isn't it amazing?
Because not only are you going to get different figures, but you're going to get variant comics and covers. I mean, that's nostalgia that brings us back. Because how often do you see the action figures with the actual little reprint comic in it? But now you're actually getting a first print and possibly a rare one in whatever variant. I think that's excellent marketing on his part.
And you think, well, I'm sure he's going to do the others, but I mean, but it's like, to me, it's like when you see it, I thought brilliant, awesome, and how fast it's gone up. I was talking about it just the other day. I was talking about how I want the gray one so bad, and I was like, well, because I work in here, do I get one? Do I gotta go kickstart like everybody else? I don't mind supporting. I don't mind support.
No, I mean, man, you're in there. You're the penciler. You got to take advantage of all the freebies. And while you're asking for a samurai Spawn for me. I really dig samurai medieval Spawn.
You know for a fact, those guys who ask for the freebies are the most irritating people. You know for a fact. You want to be that guy that says, no, I support. I went and bought my own. I don't want to be calling somebody at Spawn and say, hey, man, send me a box of. No. If I'm going to get it, I'm gonna order it like everybody else. And that's how I do. When I go to shows, I don't like.
You just get the surprise showing up, and that's why I gave you an Amazing Spider-Man 200, and you gave me all kinds of free stuff, man. I got all kinds of signed.
Well, that's what life's about, right? Like I'm not trying to get a hook.
I still think that Deadpool, hip hop Deadpool you did with the gold chain, that's dope. I like that one. That one's dope. It was Rocket in that too. I'm trying to remember. Was it?
Yeah, Rocket was on the shoulder.
Yeah, that one was dope, man.
That was fun, man.
Yeah,
it was fun.
So, hey, Ken, right now, with the quarantine and shows not happening, tell us how the fans can support Ken Lashley and his work. What are you doing to do? I know you're doing a sketch. How often are you going live on Facebook?
I probably do it once or twice a week. I try to do it, at least once but my deadlines are crazy on this, So I mean, I really try to do at least once or twice a week, and I usually let people pick what they want, and then where first person, I usually let them do a poll, and the number one always gets the drawing, and then I go from there. But I mean, I try to keep it that way. I mean, for me, I'm also donating to stores, my local store. They're in a tough situation, so I've done some piece of artwork, like I did this, and hopefully I can auction it off. And talking to Jim about it, we're talking to Jim, and it's pretty cool when you go talking to Jim Lee. I was like, it's just really cool. But we're talking about donating things, and we're trying to set up like a Canadian version of that, because it's just like with a lot of Canadian creators out here. We probably need to figure something out for our Canadian stores.
So that piece, the Black Cat, is that going up for auction?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it up
to help
auction.
out comic shops in Canada, or
I'm trying to. Just got to figure out the best way to do it, right? So
Jim Lee is his.
I know some of those are crazy, eh?
Have you seen the prices they're fetching on?
But
on
you know
eBay?
what? That's what really makes me sad. It makes me sad all the negativity. Like some of the comments, I was just like, what? Like, how can you find a negative thing to say about that? You know what I mean?
It's like the internet, bro. It's
oh my god,
man.
dude! It's so disheartening.
No wonder you're not on Twitter, man. You get to see all the ugly side of humanity on Twitter, man. For every good thing, there's probably saying, yeah, but 15 years ago he did this. I'm like, oh, come on,
man. Come on, man. I mean, well, that's how it is. And I felt. I mean, it's crazy, But I mean, but I love what he's doing, and to take that 60s and I like all the people he's recruited, and I was telling him about that. We were talking about it the other day, and I was like, "Look at you recruiting people," and he was laughing. We were talking back and forth.
Do you know Donnie Cates personally, or you?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
You hear what he just did?
No,
Donnie Cates is a close friend of the show. He actually went to a comic shop and he bought up everybody's pull list.
Oh, so, I did hear. I did see that picture.
That's cool. Little things here and there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Speaking of which, tomorrow at 2 p.m. on the Lord's channel, a shameless plug. I'm helping my LCS. I'm going to go to their shop and we're going to do a live sale. So, guys, tomorrow at 2 p.m. check it out. Comic Tunes and Toys in Tustin, California. They've been in business 32 years. They've been adhering to social distancing. So I'm going to help them out. We're going to use the Lords and Longbox YouTube channel. It's going to be a fixed sale. We're going to throw up books. Pick a letter, 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks. He's not trying to make a killing. He just wants to get rid of stock. And quite frankly, he was like, you know what? I know a lot of people have cabin fever and they just need something to get their minds off it. So we're going to, we got a bunch of, first appearance of Bishop. We got a bunch of Spider-Man 2099. So we're just going to try to have fun.
Ron Lim and Wills. I got you. Okay. That's good.
Dude, I was talking to, I saw Wills Portacio at a show. And you know what I kept on begging him for? Bring back Wetworks. Absolutely love
That's pretty cool. Wetworks was sick. When he drew it, like when I drew it, it was terrible. Yeah. When he drew it, it was awesome.
Do you remember a book from Image called Weapon Zero?
Yeah.
I love that book. I absolutely was that Joe Benitez with the art. Yeah. Oh man, I'm telling you, I love you guys don't understand. You guys think the 90s was just full of a bunch of garbage. There was so much killer art.
Let's not kid ourselves. There was a lot of garbage too. There was a lot of
no. There was because there were way too many titles. I always say this.
I know that. I guess I got my
Coven by Ian Churchill. Did you ever read Coven?
Yeah.
I love the Coven, Ian Churchill, Weapon Zero. I mean, some of these great Image titles, but it was just too many bloods and too many blood strikes and blood this and blood. It just got
blood fire,
blood wolf. There was a wolf blood. There was a brigade. There was a young blood brigade.
There was a blood wolf. Yeah.
Oh man,
I remember that. Crazy. It was fun. That was fun.
But Ken, I want to thank you for joining us. Right about an hour. We probably go on for longer. We could do this weekly if you wanted to. I mean,
I'm good. I'm free. I'm thinking about doing some stuff. I have a setup here, a draw, and I want to do something, but I don't have time to set it up. But yeah, if we want to do that, we could do that.
Let's do this, man. We will do this, and if you want, we can do the proceeds can go to whatever charity you want, and we'll have people in the live chat. We'll auction it off.
Sure.
You pick the character, and we'll do as big as you can, so we can get as much money as we can, guys. This is original art, and we'll schedule it for next Friday or Saturday. Ken will come on. We'll start drawing. We'll talk some stuff. And in the live chat, you guys will bid on it. And half the proceeds will go to Ken for his trouble. Another half will go to whatever charity that he wants to help out.
I'll go to the charity. I'm good, man.
All right, there you go. 100%. 5% will go to me, and the rest. So all the proceeds, guys, for the live. Follow Ken. I put his Facebook in the live chat. Follow Ken on Facebook. He does his weekly, but we're gonna do one next weekend on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, and we'll do a live auction in there. And you know what? I'll throw in some stuff as well. And then the winner will get all this, and you get a Ken Lashley original commission, and all the proceeds will help out whatever auction Ken chooses. All right. Any last words, Ken?
No, it's all good, man. Go Saints.
Sorry about I was just gonna say, man. We need to get about sports. That could be a whole nother show. We'll do that.
I
didn't wear my Warriors shirt because I didn't want you to give me a hard time.
I don't care about that. We won the championship. We won the championship. You can't say that to us.
You only gonna get the one. You only gonna get the one.
Well, if no one plays this year, we'll be 2-year champs, buddy. Come on now.
All right. Well, hey, you know what? The gamble was worth it. Masai did he rolled the dice, and it just that one. It just takes out one ring, and that's it.
For
man.
sure, that's all we needed. We got one.
Yeah.
Change the whole country, man. Change everything.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Until next time, boys and girls, keep digging in them long boxes. Peace out.
Bust it. Shake and bake and pull it back.